Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel again, man. Look, there is a lot of stuff going on. There is a lot of stuff going on in the world. Um, it's like rapid fire right now. You know, got this video here. Deputy FBI Director Bongino, am I saying that right? Has told people he is considering resigning amid Epstein files fallout. They said they had the files. It's on the desk. They're going to release the files. Now they're not. Trump got defensive, saying, are you still asking about these people, even who both sides are mad, which is surprising to see. It took them not releasing these files for both sides to agree on something. Wow. Hey, we ain't going to waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Sources tell CNN that Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino has told people that he's considering resigning amid a major clash between the FBI and DOJ over the continued fallout from the release, or lack thereof, of the Jeffrey Epstein memo. Joining us right now on the phone is CNN anchor and chief White House correspondent Caitlin Collins. Caitlin, what more are you learning?
Yeah, Fred, it remains to be seen if he actually follows through with what he has told colleagues. But what we do know is that Dan Bongino has told people he is considering resigning as the deputy director of the FBI over the fallout that has continued ever since this memo was released last Sunday. The anger inside the MAGA base has only continued to grow instead of going away, as some officials inside hoped it would. And now our colleagues, along with Christian Holmes, Hannah Rabinowitz, and Evan Perez, we're hearing that he's considering resigning after they had this heated confrontation with the Attorney General Pam Bondi over the handling of this earlier this week. And basically there was a meeting at the White House where the FBI Director, Kash Patel, was there, the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles. They were...
It's kind of choppy, but I'm just wondering, did he just have a moment where he's like, because I'm gonna be honest, I don't know. I know they're saying his position, right? But I want to say I believe he may be seeing the list. I'm just wondering, like, if he saw it and he just like, I don't want no part of this, because the backlash right now is on level 1 million. So literally whatever interviews, anything you're doing, that is going to be the question people want answered. And he's probably tired of speaking for people. I don't know what's his name? Kash Patel. I know he was saying that's the thing he was going to be focusing on, was getting that list released. Again, y'all know how I feel about politics. I hate them, but this right here, this is something right here that definitely they need to release. Like, we can already guess who's on that list. I believe it's people from both sides, but they are really trying to cover this up.
Questioned about whether they were part of a story, that there was basically some infighting over how this came out, and this memo that said we're not going to be releasing any more information related to Jeffrey Epstein. And I should note that we are told Bongino denied leaking any story to this outlet that it was reported on. But there has been a lot of fighting between Attorney General Pam Bondi specifically and the leadership over at the FBI over who's to blame in this situation. I think the context here is obviously Dan Bongino, Kash Patel. They came from this MAGA world where they themselves had pushed a lot of questions about the so-called client list that Epstein had beforehand. And now the MAGA base is just not pleased or satisfied with what they've said in this memo that came out unsigned from the Justice Department and the FBI on Sunday night. So what we are told is Dan Bongino did not show up to work today, that he is essentially not there out of protest. But whether or not he actually follows through on this still remains to be seen. We're still reporting that out. But it just speaks to the backlash that the White House is very much feeling and understanding after this memo came out, despite President Trump the other day in the cabinet room asking, who still cares about this?
Yeah.
One thing we know is the MAGA base certainly does.
All right, Caitlin Collins, thanks so much for that. We'll check back with you as you learn more. CNN senior justice correspondent Evan Perez is also with us. And so, Evan, is it your understanding that if Bongino were to resign, it's as a result of the infighting, including with the AG, Pam Bondi, or is it mostly over the disappointment of these Epstein files either not existing or not being released?
Well, look, I think Fred, there's a larger issue here, and I think if you look at Dan Bongino, he was a very successful podcaster. He had a very big following online, certainly very financially successful with his podcast that was a very very strong appeal inside MAGA world. And this job really hasn't been, I think, very much fun. And if you've seen him doing some of his interviews.
Wait, so he was a podcaster and then he ended up getting hired as the deputy FBI director? That's what happened? So he went from podcasting to this position. Okay. I need to see if there's a video of Kash Patel talking. Because what happened? He said, I remember exactly what he said.
In right-leaning media and conservative media, he has said as much. He has said that this job is taking a toll on his life, on his personal life, with his family. He's having to essentially be separated from them while he's here in Washington doing this job. It's not nearly what he's used to back in the days. Obviously, he is someone who came from law enforcement. So I think there's a bigger story here in terms of what Bongino is thinking. But I certainly think part of what Caitlin laid out just now is partly the story here, and that is that there is some daylight between top FBI officials and top Justice Department officials over the handling of this Epstein matter. You'll remember that back in February, the Attorney General Pam Bondi led this event at the White House where they brought in all these MAGA influencers, these conservative influencers on social media, and gave them, with great ceremony, these binders that were supposed to contain these Epstein files.
Right.
Turns out, though, most of the files were actually out there for years. And so it was a great embarrassment both to Bondi and to FBI officials who really didn't have much role in this. And so that's where some of this begins and where you see some of the distance. And so I'll point out one quick thing that on social media today, Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, has tried to respond to some of the pushback from Lara Loomer and some of the other, and he has basically tried to point out that Kash Patel and Dan Bongino and the Justice Department leadership are all on the same page, that there is no daylight. If you look at the tweet, he says, the suggestion by anyone that there was any daylight between the FBI and DOJ leadership on this memo's composition and release is patently false. Now, he's referring to the memo that went out this week where they said there's no there, we're not releasing anything else. It's very clear, Fred, that there is daylight between the FBI and the Justice Department over the handling of this. And so we'll see how this plays out in the coming days and weeks. We don't know whether Bongino is coming back to work next week. It appears he's taken the day off. He's down in Florida somewhere. And so we don't know whether he's going to be back to work next week, but we certainly know that this is not a story that is going to go away because, as Caitlin pointed out just now, certainly MAGA world is not done with this. They want more, and they want to see more from those documents that the FBI still has.
And it is evident this is just the latest in what seems to be a litany of turmoil that we're seeing in recent days and weeks involving top leadership in this administration. All right, Evan Perez.
Look, you know, he got that position, and I'm just again wondering if he had access and he saw what he saw. So if he were to quit, I'm just wondering, well, I mean, I know he has to sign something and all that stuff, because even they're talking about like something being leaked. And, that's going to be another concern of theirs. Is he going to leak information that he came across? It just seems like he got in his job and it just isn't what he thought it was going to be. And now I feel like when you're kind of on the outside looking in, you hear the rumors about corruption and stuff like that, and you may know about it. Like, yeah, I believe there's corruption. But then you get in there and you see it at the highest magnitude and you're like, damn, I didn't know it was this bad. So again, I don't know what's really going on with this situation. I don't know if he's going to really resign. He might just take a day off and think about it. But it's just a lot of stuff happening. I wanted to read some comments just to get a little more information on this. First, one of the first comments says, bro definitely knows something. He wanted to expose it. Now it's being covered up. Yeah, no point in staying around. They said, I think Dan is way in over his head and is looking for an excuse to bail. Damn, someone said if Epstein would have been alive today, Trump would have appointed him in his cabinet. Ultimately, the wicked shall turn against one another. Yeah, he found out the truth, and that's why he wanted to resign. I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe he's trying to get away from it. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's a video of Cash, because, like I said before, boy, this is like, I know this is technically political, because I feel like the list is covering up political figures on both sides. That's what I believe. But I'm more concerned about the people who may have had some type of involvement dealing with all of these kids, like allegedly. That's my whole thing. That would literally break the internet. Because like a lot of people, I feel like, want to talk, but they have probably been silenced or they're too young to speak. You know how you see like videos of people coming out to talk and saying like, this happened to me when I was young. It's because like a lot of times the parents get paid off. Or it could be people who've gone missing or been taken. It's a lot to think about. But as of today, if you had to ask me, we are not going to get this list. Or they going to give us something to shut us up, but it ain't going to be what we were looking for. All right. Peace out.